There's been a lot of discussion about central bank digital currency this week. And central bank digital currency is a core area of focus of ours at the Atlantic Council Geoeconomic Center. So we wanted to take a moment to do a deeper dive and explain what exactly is a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. The easiest way to think about it is to think about paper cash. If you have paper cash in your pocket, you sometimes realize you don't have as much as you need at any moment, you don't have it when you need it. A central bank digital currency puts paper cash on your phone. That's really the core idea here. And it's a little different than your commercial banking money where you bank with your local banks, or a cryptocurrency which doesn't have a specific value, or even a stable coin which is theoretically pegged to this dollar but isn't actually a dollar. A central bank digital currency, a digital dollar, or any currency is the representation of that currency just in digital form. And it's something central banks around the world have become increasingly interested in over the past few years.
So this is a topic that we must cover because not a lot of Americans or people around the world know about this and don't know what moving towards digital currency can happen to us and our freedom. So it sounds good because we mostly use credit cards and debit cards, but it can become a problem in the long run. So this is something we need to talk about. But before we begin conversation, just remember, like, subscribe, and share this video. It's very important. It helps me to build a fan base. So please like, subscribe, and share this video. So let's talk about central bank digital currency. If you notice now, like I said, we've been using credit cards, debit cards, tap. We're doing all of that stuff. And when we get paid, back then we used to get a paycheck. You had to sign it, go to the bank, or check cash in place and cash your check. And now we don't even do that. We do direct deposit. We do, it just goes straight to your bank. And now we are looking at the penny being removed. President Trump has already eliminated, by 2026, they'll be making no more pennies. And I get it. It costs like 3.5 cents to make one penny, which is only 1 cent. And I think it costs, I might be wrong, I think it costs like 13 cents to make the nickel. So by eliminating the penny, it helps reduce costs and inflation. And I see the penny being next. But I think this country, along with other countries, are moving more towards a cashless society. And it sounds great, but in the long run, it might become problems, especially for them drug dealers, because, you know, drug dealers deal with tangible currency. They ain't got time for that cashless stuff. They need that money. So it's going to be some serious problems once the world moves towards a cashless society.
Cash will always be king. If we have a digitalization of cash, it means the complete and absolute tracking of each transaction. It means that the people in power are able to completely stop us from having the ability to trade amongst one another. You know, it's complete totalitarianism. Obviously, naturally, with any form of power that's so great, there will be abuses. So there will be people that definitely their money's turned off and then they'll suffer and be homeless and have nothing. Now, cash allows us to not have these problems. Now, they're selling the cashless society to us in a very, very unique way. It is imperative, especially for business people, to have the ability to exchange and trade with finance and money amongst each other in order to keep a form of freedom, let's say. There will definitely be things like excessive monitoring. If we look at the leaders and how they operate, I would say that they are not really fit for purpose and they should not have this type of power over humanity and society.
What that man said makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I'm going to show you something that how everything works right now and the way it's going to be. The feds control the money supply. And the Fed is not really controlled by the government, even though the president can select the head of the Federal Reserve. However, the government has no control over the Feds. They were created to monitor the banks and so forth, and to prevent this country from going into bankruptcy, defaulting on loans, or going through like another depression, even though for some reason we keep going through a lot of recessions. However, the Feds passes the money out to the banks. And then the banks would then give the people the money. If you turn in a check, want a loan, whatever it is, that's how the money get dispersed, because we go through a bank. And that's how we know it. And if we want cash, we could go to a bank, we could get that money. And that is the normal way of how we bank. Okay. But things are about to change. So the Feds will now, instead of going through the banks, the banks will be basically eliminated. There's not going to be any banks, because the Feds will go through some type of AI algorithm that's going to help disperse the money to everybody. And so this is going to be the new way, where it's going to be cashless, and it's going to be more cashless and less tangible. And it sounds great, but let's look at the pros and cons. So right now, with a cashless society, the pros show that it reduces risk of violent crime. So yes, bank robberies, people getting stuck up at an ATM machine, or robbed for their little bit of money, or whatever. This would eliminate that, because the money goes right to your account or so forth, and there's no way it can be tangible. So unless you want to transfer money from one person to another, but I believe that will not happen. So there's not going to be any way to transfer money from one to the other, only I guess through business or so forth. Reduces tax evasions. So now, how we sit there, we plotting and scheming how we can make a little extra money, or I want some money back. I don't want the IRS taking all my money. Well, this would eliminate that, and this will help reduce tax evasion. So everybody is going to be paying what the Democrats would say, their fair share. Well, this is going to make sure that everybody pays their fair share. Harder for criminals who rely on cash payments. So once again, earlier I said the drug dealers would then be able to would not be able to get any cash. So how are they going to sell drugs? Because I can't pass money through any like how you can do what's the thing, Cash App. You could go to Cash App and Cash App me. Well, I believe that's going to be eliminated to prevent people from, like criminals, from getting your money. Quicker transaction and shorter queues. So now, if you deal with a bank like credit cards and things like that, you don't have to worry about standing online or going on or making a phone call and you're number 5 or number 6. You're now going to get your money directly. You'll be able to pay whatever you want through that, and there is no confusion because it's going to be total transparency. Better hygiene. So, tangible currency is very filthy, carry a lot of germs and everything. So with this, you don't have to worry about germs. All you have to worry about is, did my money come? So that's a good thing. That's a pro. Reduces worthless spare change. So you know how you're walking around and people be like, hey, can I give you all these quarters because I'm tired of carrying the change. Well, there is no more spare change, and the government is already trying to eliminate coins. So that would eliminate those spare change. And finally, cash imposes cost on banks and firms. So, I guess like with how we pay fees when we are, I guess a bounce check or you go over the limit or so forth, these fees would be eliminated because you don't, you're not, your money is there. That's what it is. And that's how it get dispersed out. And so you don't have to worry about being late or going, bouncing a check or anything like that. Okay. But now let's look at the cons. And this is what I want you guys to pay attention to, pay close attention. Many adults lack access to bank accounts and credit cards. So, blacks, minorities, people low income, they don't have, most of them don't have bank accounts and credit cards, bad credit scores, and they owe so much. You can't, if you owe child support, you can forget about having a bank account, because the minute you have one, they're going in there and they're taking it, which, everybody's going to start feeling stuff like that, because with this type of plans, where it's a cashless society, if you owe money, they can take it without you. There's nothing you can say. They can take it. Privacy issues. Government gain more control over citizens. So this is what I want you to listen to. Please listen to this. Why is my mic way over here? It's crazy. I hope you guys can hear me. So, the government can track wherever you go. If wherever you spend money at, they know where you're at. So committing crimes, if you want to go, you're a criminal, you're a murderer, and you want to go get stuff so you can commit something, everything now has to be, there's a fingerprint on everything. So you can't go ahead and think you could get this and get that and get away with it, because now you're tracked. Everywhere you go, you are tracked. So it is much harder for you to get away with stuff when you're just leaving a fingerprint every step you take. Cash helps households manage finances. Yes, it does. The cash does. Because, when we sit down and we plan things, like we get money, we can say, we got a little stash, we got a little thing, so we know what we can do, especially when we managing our finances. We know what we can save and what we can hold on to and what we want to put to the side. Like I said, we put money in the side, we stick it in an envelope or whatever, and we hide it. But you can't do that no more, because right now, when you handle your finances, you have to be concerned that you don't owe some money, because the government will get your money. They get it. The government, whoever, court or whatever, they can just go in there and take it with no hesitation, no care. Your money is gone. That gives the government more power and more control over you. And this is when you start saying, we don't want the government in our life, because with this, they can take your money and there's nothing you can say about it. Freedom to choose would be taken away. It would be, because like I said, you want to save money, you want to do this and that, well, you can forget it, because your money is controlled by the feds, by the central bank, which the feds are central bank, and they now can dictate how much money. If you owe money, like school loans, you're in trouble, because if you owe school loans and you're not paying, they can go in there and just take it. And we're not talking about just take X amount so that you can still live and survive. They can go in there and clean the whole account out. And once again, there is nothing you can do except cry, because that's all we're going to do is cry, because they taking our money, and there's nothing we can do. Cash has intrinsic and emotional value. E-cash does not. And that is true. So cash, when we look at that cash, when we save it, we're stashing it. We hold a little bundle, that color green. We feel good that look what we just did. Look how much I got saved. We like that. That's good. So even if we got credit cards and everything else, we're happy when we can lift up our mattress, open the drawer. There's that green money. It's an emotional feeling that you have when you can save and you can hold on to that much. But when it comes to e-cash, which is electronic, you don't have that. All it is numbers. The feds now don't have to be printing. They won't print any money. All they're going to do is type in some numbers. The money goes to you. And it's all, this is supposed to reduce inflation too. I don't know, because now you could just type up any old amount and give out loans. And who's going to hold the government accountable? It can't be you, because they control your money. And let you go ahead and speak out. Let you go ahead and say, you know what? I don't like the way the president is doing this or that. And you say, we're going to go march and we're going to speak out because we have that right. It's in the Constitution. We can speak out, peacefully. Well, who can say that the government don't say, oh, look what happened. And now you got no money. You're broke because the government went in there and cleaned it out. This is what I think people need to be aware of. It's a scary feeling, okay? Very scary feeling.
How long before we're a cashless society?
Hopefully forever, dude. I hope forever. I hope we never, it is so scary to imagine losing the privacy, losing it all completely because every transaction is in the public eye or observable. That's really scary, man. I mean, it's I don't even do anything interesting with my money, except tip on the road. I use my card, and I know the argument is that's traceable. I realize that, but it's scary because there's an option. If you want to just blow some cash on something, you can. You could just no one will know. It's whatever it is.
Right.
Not that I would ever use cash for anything other than legal purposes. It's just you know what I mean?
One day in the future, everything will be traceable.
The Federal Reserve is considering a digital dollar. The implications for privacy and freedom are frightening. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. Central banks around the world are examining whether they should create digital currencies. China is gradually enrolling one already. Japan may launch a digital yen by 2026. India is moving ahead in this front. The Federal Reserve is on the bandwagon here, where experiments and studies are already underway. These moves to what is dubbed a central bank digital currency, CBDC, may sound like making sure financial institutions are keeping up to date and ensuring currency stability amid cryptos that are crashing in value, along with the sensational multi-billion-dollar collapse of crypto exchange FTX. Now, advocates say CBDCs will help central banks better fight inflation because they'll have more direct control over the money supply, that it will sharply speed up transaction payments between buyers and sellers in the marketplace, where settlements, most particularly if they cross borders, can take days before a payment clears and you can access your money. It will also help fight money laundering and keep rogue nations from evading sanctions. But central bank digital money is ominous. The downside of governments being able to track digitally every single product or service you buy and sell is chilling. This is where China's headed. India has been trying to reassure skeptics by declaring that transactions would stay, quote, largely anonymous, end quote. But government bureaucracies won't be able to resist the temptation. They'll always have excuses like fighting crime or combating tax cheating. CBDCs would give officials a powerful tool of control and manipulation. It would be an irresistible drug for central banks trying to direct the economy. If they think the economy is overheating, they could freeze a certain percentage of your cash. Or if these poobahs decide that things are too slow, they could punish people who, they conclude, are saving too much. Spend it or lose it, they could decree. If you have undesirable political views, you might not be able to access your money, since traditional cash would be outlawed and your digital cash would be in a government-approved digital wallet. Digital cash would even allow governments to fine-tune monetary policy with individualized interest rates. Then there's the all-too-real challenge of security. Digital cash systems would be a hacker's delight. The treasure trove of data governments would have on every aspect of your life would be breached. As for speeding up payments, that can be achieved with improved electronic transfers. The Federal Reserve already has an experiment with that underway called FedNow. Congress should immediately hold hearings on the subject of central bank digital cash and ban the Fed from creating a digital dollar. Government digital cash is a formula for tyranny. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.
So I'm showing you how this can really affect our lives. And I don't want anybody to say that nobody's warned you about this. This is real. And this is no games. This is no conspiracy theory. This is real. And when we become and you know, being a cashless society has been talked about since the 70s. I never forget it. Whenever credit cards came out, they talked about we becoming a cashless society. But nobody was aware that, you know, the beginning of the credit cards, and then, you know, now everything is traceable. Like, you use a Metro card or something like that, has to go through on the tolls. You know, you're tracked everywhere. And now with a cashless society, everything you spend is traceable. And not only that, we, the people, just gave the government so much power over our lives. We'll have no say because they control the money. When it's tangible, we have control. We can dictate how much we want to spend. I want to stick some money in my pocket. I feel like going on a trip. So right now I want to put a little cash in my pocket just in case if maybe I lose my card or something like that. I have cash that I can use to probably get myself back home safe or anything like that. You don't have that kind of luxury anymore. It is all controlled by the government. And we need to really pay close attention to this. Go to our congressman, congresswoman, and really push this president to really, I guess, take the time to see what's going on and to probably put a stop to this, because we're giving the central banks so much power, so much control over our lives. And if we don't do something about it, it's going to be too late. Thank you once again for listening to my show. I hope this really helped you out a lot. If you disagree with me or you think maybe CBDC is the best way forward, please leave a comment. I respond to everybody, whether it's good or bad. If you have a question for me or you think what I'm saying is wrong, let's talk about it. I don't mind talking about it. Remember, you can reach me at the Marc Perspective at gmail.com or leave me a comment below. Thank you once again for listening to my show. I'll talk to you later. Peace.